Okay, so we're gonna do a debrief on Dale's.
Okay.
One of the things that I'm impressed with Orland is his ability to get people to call him back. That's a gift. There's almost nobody that can do that. People just don't call you back. They just don't. Don't know why that they're calling him back, honestly. And so we'll reverse engineer that bad boy and figure out how to do that. So that's another story for another time. Another thing is there's a pro and con, and Doreen, you can jump in at any time if you have thoughts or questions or whatever as well. So participate as you wish. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put we're going to put here. We're going to take this one and we're going to push it back into sub one, and then this one's going to be this is about as picture perfect of a 30-minute strategy session that we had. You just can't get better than what we had. So the advantage of what you were doing and talking to somebody is that you were still on, so you could kind of hear the flow and kind of experience the stuff. So that's good. The other advantage of doing what you did is you went ahead and we're also working on setting up another appointment and getting other business. So the disadvantage of it is you aren't able to pay as close attention to what I'm doing to where you can learn how to do the 30-minute strategy session. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So the 30-minute strategy session, there's an art and a science to it. And so if you're paying attention, which I'm sure all of you are that are watching this, you see how I'm getting everything done like right here. Like I'm not taking notes, I'm putting it directly into the computer. So I'm taking notes here, and then I'm taking notes here. And so it's all done. So I'm done and I'm on to the next appointment. If I'm writing it down, then I got to enter it in and I might forget and I might not do it. So everything's there. Then what I do is as a reflex, I go into buckets. And then I go into assign a bucket. So immediately, anytime you have a lead that's a hot lead or that you're going to call back, you put it into buckets. Then, Orland wouldn't have to do this because he's the user, but because I'm logged in as me, I have to put him in here. And then I'm going to drop down and I'm going to say, okay, this is, Orland's calls. Okay, so that's here.
Hey, Mark, hang on. I'm gonna follow you step for step through here. If that makes sense.
Okay.
What do I put in the bucket list?
What do we put on the bucket list?
So what I do is I go ahead and say assign a bucket.
Yes.
And then the user is going to default to you. You won't have to do anything.
Yes.
I had to change that. I had to change that because it was you. And then once you go ahead and this is what you're going to see. So you're going to see this here. Then you go down to the bucket list. And then you have two in your bucket list right now. You're going to have a number of them, but right now you have two. You don't want to put it in loose calls because it's not loose calls. You want to put it in your calls. And then you tag this, so it's going to be Orland's calls.
Okay.
And then you put a description. This description is everything. Like it's everything. And so that description gets put here after you save it. And so if I go in here, I would put, I use a numbering system. So there's two ways you can do it. You can use a numbering system where it's, 01, so how it sorts it, because you're going to have hundreds of people. So one of the hardest things in owning your own company and sales is to keep all the people that you have and make sure you're keeping up with them all. So this is a hot lead. So I'm going to go $0 and then I'm going to say feed business, nice guy, free partners. I'm thinking of my conversation with him. So I'm thinking of my conversation with him. And so I'm not going to remember who this guy is. You won't either. You'll have so many people you're talking to, you can't remember. So what you want is in the description something that you immediately remember his voice, his energy, the whole experience. And so you want something in the description that's descriptive. You put the $sign because this guy's a hot lead, big time. We found out who the decision maker was. It's him. He's got 3 partners, not real profitable, but they've got some profit. So easy, I figured it was like an easy X-ray sale, and it was. I mean, it was nothing. Like, he's like, yeah, sounds like a good idea. There's no discussion, no selling, no, I want to study, no referrals, no information. Yeah, it makes sense. Why? Because I synced into his personality. I became an amiable to where he liked me. But then I switched into his analytic. And so I switched into his analytics. So this would come down here. And so then I would get this. So now I have him in a bucket. He can be in more than one bucket. So Doreen can have her own bucket. And so, you guys can work and flow in tandem. And so the other thing, so that's that. So when I go here and I save it, so you just always put people in a bucket. You just always do. And so then I go into group buckets, and then it's Orland's calls. So what this does is this goes ahead, and based on this here, it will sort it. So if I go up here and I click sort, it'll float that to the top. You only have 4, it's no big deal, but you're going to have hundreds. So you want to get your hottest prospects to the top. It's like inventory. It's like your best. This is where you're going to make money at the top. So, and make money fast. And so what you do is, if it's 01, 02, 03, whatever, it'll sort them here. Now, when you go ahead and do this, like, good that you have this. This is month. This is year, month, and day. So if you're going to call them in another, you're going to have 2. You're going to have your money ones up here, the hottest leads up here. So they're always in front of you every day. This my bucket, it's how you make money. It is the most important thing in making money because it keeps your money in front of you, and then you have other things. And then you'll have calls that you're going to make in another month, 2 months, 3 months. And so Doreen can slide in and we could reassign these to her. Or if you can't get the calls, like theoretically, so you're going to be better in sales than she is. Theoretically, she's going to be better in pre-sales than you are. Theoretically. And so in pre-sales is to get them to know, like, and trust you. So pre-sales, typically the amiable and the analytic are going to be better in pre-sales. And then in the sale, the driver and the expressive are going to be better. Because the analytic wants to inform people, but they can talk themselves out of a sale. They can do too much. The amiable gets people to like them. So if you can get people to like you and educate them, they're more likely to buy. But these people will talk themselves out of sales. They don't want to push people. These people, the driver and the expressive, they don't mind pushing people. They don't mind rejection. You know, somebody doesn't like you, tough, move on to the next one. So Doreen's going to have, so I'm an analytic driver. So I do really good in educating. I have a lot of knowledge, and so I can educate people. Getting people to like me, I know this is shocking to both of you. Getting people to like me, that's something I've had to work on. Most people don't like me naturally. And what's hardest is I don't care. Like I just don't care. So I have analytic, but I also have driver. So what I'm missing is what Doreen has, which is going to be amiable and expressive. She's got gifts that I don't have, and I'm going to have gifts that she doesn't have. If she and I come into alignment, I will be far more powerful with her, and she will be far more powerful with me, because you're all of this, Orland, you learning how to go ahead and when to turn on which one, that's going to be the key for you. When are you amiable? When are you analytic? And when do you need to be expressive and drive? So you have an advantage over Doreen and I because you're all of them. You're a chameleon. You also have a disadvantage over Doreen and I because you're all of them. And so in here, this is going to help you keep organized and keep disciplined. And so if Doreen, and I don't know if you remember, Orland, where I said Doreen's going to slide in and support you. Women will tend to like to be in pre-sales. Men will often like to be in sales. Until one day, Doreen's going to say, wait a minute, I could outsell Orland. This is when it's going to get to be fun. I'll sit back and have some popcorn and lemonade. And so the key is for you guys to be in flow. So if Doreen specializes in pre-sales, she can sell without question. The amiable, expressive personality can sell like crazy. And so understanding our roles. And so as a grandfather, I don't want to be a disciplinarian of my grandkids. My role as a grandfather, I want to be an encourager. I want to get the kids to obey their parents. I want the parents to discipline the grandkids. I don't want to have to do it. It's like, just don't. And so understanding your role in the sales and pre-sales, so both are equally important. When we look at this guy, what I'm doing is I'm getting him to like me. I'm being amiable. I'm talking at his pace, his pitch, his voice, his tone. It's what's called in sales mirroring. So I'm mirroring him. So I'm mirroring him. So he's going to like me. He's going to say, he's just like me. We tend to like people who are like us. But then I'm going to get him to fall in love with me. So I'm going to challenge him. So he's the least of the expressive. So this is the people that will irritate him the most, but his wife may be an expressive, likely is. And so understanding all of these different pieces, understanding this and this, and understanding his partners and all of this information here, I'm going through. And so this is just an amazing recording, just an amazing training opportunity. And so will people go ahead and study this? Most people won't even watch it. Elaine and Cheryl will. Doreen might. I don't know yet well enough. So Doreen might go through and study that bad boy. What did Mark do? How did his tone? How did he move? So what I'm doing is I'm getting in flow with the prospect. and it's all natural. It's not even sales. I mean, it's just like, this is what I'd recommend. That sounds good to me. Like it's almost too good to be true. It's almost too easy. But when we do what we're supposed to do, when we do what we're trained, when we really do it well, and so this is where women have an advantage over men, because women will tend to spend more time studying. Men will tend to just jump in. Men have an advantage over women because they just jump in. Like they don't worry about doing it right, just jump in. I'm just going to do it. I'm going to make mistakes. It's okay. And that's where, Orlin, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody in 33 years plus of synergy that has done what you're doing. Like it seems like you're trusting the integrity of the system. It seems like you're trusting me. Don't ever lose that. It's okay to challenge me. There's always a better way. But first, master what I have to teach you from the 33 years. Get it to where I download it into your brain. Master what I have to teach you. Once you master it, then you can improve it. Be very cautious about trying to improve the system now. Not saying you can't. And if you see a flaw, I want to know it. Likely I've already seen it. Like, yep, that's a flaw. And so, so each one of these things, you see how I slide in and I pick up where Orlin. So Orlin just went ahead and got biggest challenge. And you saw, give me context. You know, in the setting of appointments, Orlin can improve on setting, he can improve at making sure to emphasize you're calling in. So Dale thought that we were going to call him. So I wasn't on the call when Orlin said it. Maybe Orlin didn't say it. My guess is he probably did say it, but Dale's not used to that. So Dale's Amish. He's not used to calling in to a conference call. So it's new for him. So if something's new for somebody, you have to emphasize it. You have to say it more than once. It's like children, young children, you often have to tell them more than once to do something. As they grow up, hopefully they get better and better at obeying and listening the first time. Adults often, they're worse than kids. They just have better excuses. They have more reasons why they don't listen so well. So you get in. So what you're doing is, and so we lost some time and momentum in him calling, but he was fine. He's amiable. So like we called him and it was 7 minutes after. He said, so an amiable is going to typically give you room, but just because they give you room doesn't mean you take it. A driver won't. You're a minute late and you lose all kinds of rapport. The analytic depends some. The expressive, they're not even going to probably notice. But you're just a machine. You're always on time. Orlin's going to have a hard time being on time for things because his amiable kicks in, and once he gets talking to somebody, it's hard for him. He feels like his amiable kicks in and he doesn't want to be rude. Fortunately, I'm taking care of the 30-minute. So it's cool. Like I'm fine with it. Man, that's some productive mojo right there. He's getting another one set up. I'm closing this one. It's like we're in flow. But I'm not going to always be doing that. And so he's going to have to learn how to politely say, man, I hate running. Let's schedule a time for another conversation or something like that. Also, if he wants to make a lot more money and he wants more time with his wife and kids, he's going to need to learn to tighten his own words up and learn how to tighten up the words of other people around him. So if he's going to start to think like I've learned how to think. So sometimes people wrongly think, I want other people to think like me. I don't. I don't. I want people to learn how to think in the most productive way. If somebody says, well, Mark, do you think the way you're thinking is the most productive way? I'd say, I do, for me. But that doesn't mean because of how I think, it doesn't mean, so Orland's going to have to be different than me because he's a chameleon. Doreen, she's going to do something totally different because she's like 100% opposite of me. So what works for me is not going to work for her, but there are some things that will work for her. And so being on time is going to be really important. It's going to be harder for her to be on time than it is me because she's an amiable expressive. So the amiable expressive, it's just harder for them. Well, if she's talking to a driver, and she's late, he's toast. If she explains herself why she's late, she's in even deeper trouble. And so I don't want people thinking like me. I want them thinking in the most effective way. And so for me, the most effective way in business, especially this business, is to be a machine, always on time, never late, always follow through with what we say we're going to do. We are flawless. It's not perfect. It's less flawed. I'm getting better, stronger. So right now I might miss an appointment, like just for some reason, just miss it once a year. To me, that stinks. It should never happen again in my life where I just forget an appointment. Never, not once. I might be late. Like, it'll be interesting with Orland, like the first time I'm late for something. So people get this aura about me. The guy's a machine. Business people love that. That's what I sell. It's the brand. It's like Mark has all kinds of free time. Like he owns all these companies and he's got 20 to 30 hours of free time a week. I want to be like him when I grow up. And so he's just flawless and he never comes up with excuses. And if he does make a mistake, which is very rare, he's going to own it and he's not going to go ahead and make excuses. He's not going to give reasons why, he's late or he didn't follow through with something. He just won't. He'll acknowledge, hey, sorry about that, messed up. And then he'll seek to, and it bugs him like crazy to make even one little tiny. I have found that is what helps me to succeed and stay alive in business. I have found that is what gives me so much of my free time, is not making up excuses, not giving reasons. Confident people don't talk a lot. They don't use a lot of words. They don't explain themselves a lot. So when you're selling coaching, you want people to perceive that you're confident. They just do, because they want to work with somebody that's confident. And then somebody has a sense of humor. So I was going to give him a compliment, but he's a double amiable. Dale's a double amiable. So I'm going to give him a compliment. In the back of his mind, in the subconscious, he gives compliments to people, like they're, like he just does that. It's a gift that he has. So he won't take my compliment serious because he thinks I'm like him. I just throw around compliments like all over the place, like my wife does. And so that's kind of how he is. So what I do is I tell him I'm different. And so that makes the compliment more sincere. And that also draws him to me where he's like, he's different than I am. And I need that difference. So we could probably have a week-long course on this thing. If we went through, and maybe we should go through the first minute of the recording and say, watch what I did there. Look at my tone in my voice. Listen to what it is. And so when I ask this one here on coachability, you'll always hear me do a laugh at the exact same time. There's a little chuckle that I have. So this is, so I figured out how to go ahead and do this in a magical way, almost a hypnotic way. And then I figured out what I'm doing. So sometimes I'll be like, that worked well. I don't know why. Then I figure out why, because you chuckle at a certain point. So there's certain things that I'm doing throughout the entire process. A lot of it is conscious competence. There are still some things out there that are unconsciously competent where I'm magical and I don't even know I am. not a good place, good for me to be in selling, but not a good place for me to go ahead and be, not a good place for me to go ahead and be in training other people or putting systems in place. So if you're going through this podcast, you go through and you try, you went through and you wrote down everything you knew, everything you realized about the 30-minute strategy session. Then you go through this debrief here and say, okay, there's pieces that I'm not seeing. If you share something that's brilliant, I may not have seen it. And if you show something that's brilliant, I can take it out of the unconscious competence and bring it to a conscious competence and get better because of it. So salespeople make a lot of money, the great ones. 10% of the salespeople make 90% of the money. A salesperson can make more than the business owner. Business owners don't like that unless they've been in sales, and then they understand that salespeople are so misunderstood, it's insane. Man, they study their product, they study people, they go ahead and work so hard. It's crazy what they're able to do. Orlin, any other thoughts, questions, or anything else on the debrief?
No, not that I can think of.
So after a debrief, when you're training somebody, ideally you stick around, and then if I'm the trainer and Orland's the trainee, I'm not going to tell Orland what I saw. I'm going to say, Orland, what did you see first? And he's going to tell me what he saw. This helps me to see how much he's paying attention. This helps me to see how his brain works. This helps me to see what is he picking up, what isn't he. It also helps me to learn. So maybe he sees something I didn't see. After he shares everything he sees, then I will go ahead and fill in the gaps for that. And that is accelerated learning. It will accelerate Orland's learning like crazy. It'll accelerate your learning like crazy. Other questions, Orland, you have?
No.
Okay. Doreen, did you have any questions or thoughts or observation? I don't know how much of that 30-minute you participated in.
No.
Okay. So going through it, understanding it, studying that recording, studying that recording, and how do you go ahead and get that? Now, the thing that's complicated is with a different personality, I would go ahead and handle it differently. My energy, my tone. So when I'm doing professional speaking, when I'm speaking in front of people, and I need to get something over for your two girls to read white papers, so I need to do that today so they can start reading those. And then, anyways, so when I'm speaking, it's all about the audience. It's not me. A lot of speakers are narcissistic. It's all about them. They're getting up in front of people to get a feeling of exhilaration, and they're really important. It's not about me at all. It's about the audience. So am I going to entertain them? If that makes them learn more, then yes. When I'm in the zone, it's all about them. It's not about selling. It's not about what I'm going to say. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to listen at a level that maybe nobody's ever listened to him before. I'm going to be like, it's going to be part of his very DNA. I'm going to feel what he's feeling. I'm going to feel his frustration. I'm going to feel the connection. I'm going to be like, how can I help this guy? Like, how can I change his life? Whether or not he does the business x-ray or not is irrelevant. When I'm on the call talking to him, when I'm on the phone talking to him, it's all about him. If he doesn't buy anything from me, it's okay, because I'm not here to sell. I'm here to change his life forever. When you have that type of energy, you have that type of passion, you have that type of belief system, you just sell, you just will. So there are hundreds, there are thousands, there are tens of thousands of people. So don't get discouraged if you don't find somebody like Dale. Orland didn't find Dale on his first phone call. Orland might have 10% of the people like Dale, maybe if he's lucky. I mean, he was like a dream to talk to. I enjoyed him thoroughly. Not everybody's going to be like that, and that's okay. You take the good, the bad, and the ugly leads, and all of them you'll learn something from. So hopefully this has been helpful to all of you. There'll be more additional 30-minute strategy sessions. We'll mark what their personality is. And so often it's easiest to sell to people who are like us because there's a natural connection. But we'll get into that in other ones. So go in deeper, but don't spend too much time studying. Be like Orland, get on the phone, talk to people, get on the phone, talk to people. That's where you're going to, listen to the podcast. It's not bad, but you got to take what you're learning and you got to apply it. So hopefully this is helpful. Have an amazing day. Bye-bye.